So as some of you might have known, I started WvW today, so I wanted to watch this video from Muckluck, because a bunch of people had recommended it as a way for me to get into WvW and actually understand what's going on, so let's watch it.
Hello everyone, Muckluck Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire the Fourth here, and this is a guide to the basics of World versus World. Cool. This guide is meant to show the basics of World v World, not advanced strategies or how to be
the best of the best of the best, sir. With honor.
Dude, that scene is so good. Men in Black is like one of the greatest movies.
I'm going to go over everything I think you should know to get started and try to make it less intimidating for new players that might be interested. I am by no means a professional World v World player, but I do understand the basics, so let's use that to make your lives easier. What is World v World? World v World is a large-scale battleground where servers PvP against one another with a few PvE elements thrown into it. Whereas standard
it's no longer
PvP,
servers anymore,
which is Conquest,
is this video still going to be relevant? It'll probably be okay.
Is usually played 5v5. World v World is a battle between at least 3 servers and can be 50 versus 50 versus 50 or more. You will get rewards every few minutes as long as you are active, as well as additional rewards when you level up. It is possible to get ascended and even legendary gear just from World v World play.
Okay.
Equipment. When in Conquest, your gear doesn't matter. However, in World v World, your gear does matter.
Cool.
If you are below level 80 and you enter, you will be made temporarily level 80 during your stay. But unlike Conquest, you will not get all your skills unlocked if you were missing them. Another thing worth noting is that Conquest PvP has
I know that I'm going to need a different build
limitations on which stats you can use on your gear. As an example, you cannot use the minstrel stats in Conquest. However, World v World has no such restrictions, allowing full freedom of gear, food buffs, etc. Masteries. Masteries and the rest of Tyria are separate from World v World. I learned this when I tried gliding in World v World without the World v World gliding mastery and promptly went splat. Additionally, this game mode has its own auto loot mastery that you will want to go for pretty early. Access. Clicking this button up here opens the World v World interface. Here you can see which servers are fighting one another currently and teleport or queue for the battle. The Match Overview tab gives more details on how the servers are doing, but the main...
I know this is kind of a bad time for me to actually get into World v World because there's not a whole lot going on because of the fact that the Halloween event like literally just started, but over the next couple of days, I'll probably take like tomorrow off from Guild Wars and try to finish up like Throne and Liberty, see if I can do like levels 30 to 50 in Throne and Liberty tomorrow and then get a video made about it. And probably, you know, come back to World v World in a couple of days once that Halloween event is done.
The thing that you, as a new player to this game mode, would care about is the pips at the bottom. As long as you are active, and there are 6 levels of active participation, you are getting pips every few minutes. You could see your participation here at the bottom right. The timer is shown there and also at the top of the screen. You will get more pips if you are outnumbered or leading a squad, and a few other factors.
Okay.
Your progress on the pip reward track will reset to 0 when the matches restart. The reward track tab is similar to its PvP counterpart. You pick a track and it fills up slowly over time as you are playing.
That's the one that I'm
Typically, the reward tracks that are not repeatable give the highest rewards. Also, in my opinion, World v World is the best place to use boosters for reward tracks and XP. Ranks and abilities.
Ooh, his inventory is organized so well. This is the thing that I love about Guild Wars 2 so much, and like the thing that I really enjoy about MMOs, I guess kind of in general, honestly, is the fact that like if I would have come into World v World, say, I don't know, a month and a half ago, like right after I started playing for the first time, and I would have tried to learn all of this, I would have been so unbelievably overwhelmed because I wouldn't have understood what masteries were or reward tracks were, and I wouldn't have understood like, you know, how to get gliding or how to do, like I wouldn't have understood any of these things that I had before, or that I hadn't done before. But now that I've played the rest of the game and I've been slowly introduced to things like masteries, like reward tracks, those kinds of things over time, and I've been introduced to the mechanics of this game over time, now when you come to World v World and you're in a new mode that has all these mechanics sort of looped together in chainmail so that you have to dive into them in order to understand what's happening, it's much easier to understand. This is why I so highly recommend playing games in a way that allows you to sort of learn things at your own pace, whatever that pace may be. I know for some people, they take a couple of years to get to doing anything besides overworld content in an MMO because they're just not that confident in video games and all those things. But like, just go in and learn at your own pace. And if your own pace is jumping straight into a mode like this, then Godspeed, brother.
Every time you level up in World v World, you will get a point to spend on this screen. Spend your first point on Warclaw Mastery, which will allow you to start the Warclaw reward track. I recommend you next get War Gliding Mastery, allowing you to glide in areas that you own. Provisions Master rank 4 gives you auto looting, and having a single rank of Repair Master and Build Master.
And these last the entirety of World v World. Like these aren't going to reset after a season or anything like that.
Doubles how fast you do those tasks. After those, pick whatever you like. Warclaw. The Warclaw is the only mount allowed to be used in World v World. There is a new Warclaw mastery that makes the Warclaw pulse its speed to nearby players, allowing players that don't have the Warclaw to keep up with mounted players without falling behind. So until you get your Warclaw, you may desire to stay near a group of people for safety in numbers and to avoid getting picked off because of being too slow. Make one of your early goals in World v World getting the Warclaw. To obtain it, go to the achievements panel and just search the word Warclaw.
But a lot of this
Ignoring the achievement for the Guild Warclaw skin, the other 8 are what you need to get your mount. They are very easy and just take some time. Many of the steps you will probably complete by accident while playing this game mode. Focus on getting this early on, and you will have it that long. You will get those over time.
Yeah, okay. We can just keep moving.
Things. You can see how much you are carrying up here, and also how much your allies have over here on the side.
Okay,
Initially, see how making a keep or finishing the reward track will probably take you the longest, and even then, not that long. Supply. Supply is used to build and repair things. You can see how much you are carrying up here and also how much your allies have over here on the side. Initially, you will be able to pick up 10 at a time, but if you have certain talents or if the guild that claimed that objective has certain guild upgrades, you will be able to pick up more than 10. When you pick up supply, it is taken from the total supply that that base is currently holding. Different base types and what they do. Camps. Camps can easily be taken by one person. The camp generates Doliacs, which travel to nearby bases and give them resources. Additionally, when those bases receive enough shipments, they level up, getting stronger walls, gates, etc. If a Doliac is killed, the killing team earns some karma. If an ally is near a Doliac, it will protect the Doliac.
See, I was wondering the whole time that I was playing what the purpose of all these little camps that we were taking actually were, because I knew there was some rings that showed up to where I had to stand inside of it in order to get, the ring to fill up red for my team or whatever. I didn't know about these Doliacs
from
and stuff,
nearly all damage while they are escorting it. Towers. Towers often require a small group to capture, with some exceptions. Usually you need to knock down a wall with catapults, or knock down the gate with flame rams to gain entry. Once inside, if you can kill the boss, then you can capture the tower. Keeps. Similar to towers, but much larger. You will need to knock down some walls or gates to get inside, then kill the Keep Lord to capture it. There is often 2 sets of walls to get through to gain access to a keep. Many keeps have sweet spots that are popular to attack from because you can use these spots to make a hole in both sets of walls with well-placed siege equipment. Castle. Stone Mist Castle.
So you need to actually use siege equipment to bust through walls, and then those mini boss fights that I was seeing happen, those were all part of the
Castle is in the center of the Eternal Battlegrounds, and for all intents and purposes, it's a bigger keep. However, due to its very convenient location and higher point value, it is often heavily defended by anyone who manages to claim it. Let's talk about the different types of siege equipment you can use. Most siege equipment comes in the form of blueprints. Using the blueprint equips it like a weapon, and you can use the one key to place it down on the ground. Afterwards, player can interact with it to spend supply and build the item in question. Each set of blueprints comes in 3 tiers. The standard tier, example, catapult blueprints. The superior tier, like superior catapult blueprints, which require a little bit more supply to build, but they are 50% more effective, so 50% more damage in the case of a superior catapult, and the guild blueprints tier, such as a guild catapult. Guild catapults are just as good as the superior ones, but they cost less supply to build them. These are built by scribes who are members of guilds using guild hall services. Catapult. Typically used to break down walls, the shots splash and have an AoE knockback. Trebuchet. It's basically a catapult that costs much more supply and can be used from much farther range. Flame Ram.
See, I didn't set up... Nice, dude. See, I didn't set up any of this stuff in order to do anything. All I was doing was running around and trying to find people to fight with a whole group of other people and sort of trying to stay back and do as much damage as I can from a distance without getting pulled into a gank and then absolutely slaughtered. And then running around with people and running into, castles, bases, all those things, camps, and trying to take them and doing that. But I never had to set up anything. And I saw some people using some stuff like trebuchets and catapults and things, but I didn't really know where they came from. And very often I was trying to break catapults and trebuchets when I saw them.
Specializes in breaking down gates. Make sure there is no burning oil above the gate before constructing this under it, or you're
Gonna have a bad time.
Ballista specializes in long-range single-target damage. You might build this on your own wall and use it to destroy an enemy catapult that is sieging you, or you might build this to take out an enemy cannon.
I also want to say that Muckluck, out of all of the people who make guide videos on Guild Wars 2, especially of the large-scale creators, the people who are like very popular, Muckluck does the best job of making a guide video that has actual relevant information and also is coming from the point of view of somebody who understands the mechanics to a high level. Like, a lot of people who make guide videos on YouTube, especially for MMOs, are what I would call more of entertainment YouTubers, first and foremost, and not so much education-based YouTubers. Like, they don't seem like they're actually that good at the game. No offense to them. Totally fine to be not good at the game and be making videos, but I find that people who go out of their way to make guide videos that aren't very good because they're not very good at the game just kind of rub me a certain kind of way. Like, I don't mind watching videos that are just sort of about nothing, but I don't like being told that, hey, this is a guide video on what every class in Guild Wars 2 is like. And then I watch that video and it just doesn't actually give you any relevant information on what it's like to play that class. All it is just quoting buzzwords, saying little cliches that people love to say about that class. Oh, this is the floor princess. Oh, this virtuoso makes the mesmer makes clones of itself. It's the most unique class I've seen in any MMO. Like, just those little things that everyone says, but it doesn't actually, you can tell that they haven't put a whole bunch of time into those characters. It's always such a red flag for me whenever I'm watching people's, and like, I know the beast must be fed. YouTube clamors for content constantly, and we are but the humble servants who must feed ourselves to it day in and day out, and that is a difficult thing to do. But like, I don't know, man, I'm just not a guide video making person. If it ever comes to a point to where I feel like I'm really good at this game and I don't see very many other people being really good at this game, and someone needs to make a guide video about it because it's difficult to get into without some kind of guide video. If there was a game like, oh, what's a game that I'm pretty good at that I feel like not a whole lot of people are? Outward's a pretty good example of a game that's really, really difficult to get into. Or like Monster Rancher. Maybe Monster Rancher would be a type of game that I would make a guide video for, where it's like I have this weird, obscenely deep knowledge for this video game and almost nobody plays it, but like it's being sold on Steam now, so whatever, like that kind of thing. Like, maybe I would make a guide video then, but anything else, dude, like I just feel like there's so much better people out there
on their own wall from a respectable range. Arrow cart. Think of this like anti-infantry. Each shot from an arrow cart resembles a ranger's longbow barrage, raining down many arrows in an area hitting multiple targets. Best used in your base defensively to rain down on enemies trying to push in. A few people manning arrow carts can defend against much greater numbers of attackers behind a wall. Siege Golem, the only mobile siege unit. The golem can be built away from the action, then brought to the fight. It is much slower than Warclaw mounted players, so it must be escorted and protected. Used to destroy gates from a short distance, making it an alternative to flame rams. Shield Generator. Are you trying to siege the enemy, but they keep...
There are so many little things in here. Like, I almost need to take notes on this a little bit and then sort of have them up on my second monitor while I'm playing World v. World, because there's so many little tiny things that I'm going to have to pay attention to while I'm doing this, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Like, I need to think about the situation that is at hand and what would be the best thing to actually take to that situation, but I feel like a lot of that's going to come from sort of long play time. How much of World v. World, to the people who do this a lot, how much of World v. World is like 12 people who know what they're doing and 50 people who are just following their lead on everything? And how much of it is people actually knowing what's up? Like what's the player base of this game mode? Because I know in regular PvP the player base is insane, but World v. World feels like the baby's first PvP in this game a little bit.
Rudely destroying your catapults with their siege? Make a shield generator. All the overpoweredness of a guardian and scrapper bubble rolled into one. Used to place protective bubbles over your siege to buy time for them to get the job done. These last three you will only see on a base that has been leveled up by Dolyak shipments. There are no blueprints for these. Burning oil. This will be above the gate. It typically dumps chili down on the enemy. Again, don't build a flame ram under this unless there are no enemies nearby to man it. Can usually be shot from ground level if you can get close enough to safely do so. Cannons. Cannons are very strong with good range and splash, hitting up to
I would love to be on the team that is being invaded.
50 targets. You do not want to build siege in range of an enemy cannon in most cases. You can often shoot cannons from the ground. Mortar. The mortar has nearly the range of a trebuchet and does exploding splash damage, often used to take out enemy siege that are firing at your base or clusters of enemy players. Jobs. So let's say you enter World v. World for the first time.
Here we go. This is actually
what
what
should
I
you
wanna know
do?
about.
Let's go over some of the common jobs. Blob, aka Zerg.
Yeah.
This refers to a huge
This is what I ended up getting pulled into. I thought I was going to quote-unquote roam, but I came across a giant group of people, and I sort of just assimilated into them. That's what inevitably happened to me
of
very
players
quickly.
traveling around the map, usually with one of them having a commander tag on, and possibly on Discord. Not always. Haters of World v. World will often say it is just a Zerg fest, or the bigger blob always wins. Usually, these are people who never moved from checkers to chess. That said, a blob will naturally steamroll disorganized groups. However, with two groups of equal size, the defenders, or the more organized group, have the advantage. Havoc. A Havoc group, or Havoc squad, is typically a smaller squad that roams around the map separate from the main blob. They may pick off supply dolyaks, capture camps, or possibly even towers while the enemy blob is distracted. Communication is important because if the enemy blob turns its attention to you, you need to move or you will be quickly overrun by them. Roamer. A roamer is typically a solo player, or perhaps a very small group that roams around and picks off anyone they can. This is perhaps someone very confident in their ability to 1v1, someone waiting in a queue for PvP, or someone with skills that they feel make them better off a roamer than a member of a large group. As one example, longbow rangers are often seen roaming in World v. World because they can make a lot of use out of their 1500 range. Every few minutes, timer shown at the top and also bottom right, you earn pips on your match reward track. The chests on the reward track reset each week and are the method you use to get World v. World tickets and other rewards.
I'm wondering if alternative game modes are going to be the thing that pull me into other classes finally. As I have professions. As I have gotten further and further into this game, I have seen less and less reason to play other professions other than just certain flavors. Like obviously PvE Necro is considered to be levels above most everything else and one of the greatest classes that you can play for PvE, especially overworld PvE. I melt literally everything. There is no reason for me to play any other class. I'm wondering if World v. World, if PvP, if these kinds of things are going to finally pull me into doing something other than Necromancer, if it's going to pull me into using my boost finally and making another class. This is the good thing that I feel about Guild Wars 2 and the alts that you can do in Guild Wars 2, as people always say, the cliches of this game. It's for altaholics, dude. It's a game for altaholics. As everyone knows in the whole world that's ever even looked into anything about Guild Wars 2, yet people still feel the need to tell it to people who have been playing the game for 200 plus hours. I'm such a fucking hater, dude. When did I become such a hater? Do y'all remember? I think YouTube has corrupted me to some degree. Like sometimes I have, not to like get off on a tangent here, guys, but sometimes I wonder if this is good for me to be out here doing this. Like I was very like glad to like, I had like 300 people watching. Like I've become a hater, bro, because like there's just like so many people out there who you see like they just turn on you, you know what I mean? Like it's such an odd thing, and a lot of times these people who like only show up to say cliches then feel like they have a right to tell you like what to do, and then they just go off on you randomly and say really mean shit to you, and you're just like, okay, dude, bye, and then you block them, and then you just have to go to bed that night thinking about that. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know, dude. How do people stay pure? Do I need to stay out of the comments? Do I need to not look at chat when I'm streaming? This is such an odd place to go. So I wonder if I'm going to get into other classes, if I'm going to finally use my boosts in because of these other game modes. And the thing about Guild Wars 2 is that you only have so many buttons to use. You pull up a build guide, you get your weapon, you get your enchantments for your armor, you get your full exotic, all that stuff, and then you start playing this character and you do all of that. And it's a lot less to learn than something like World of Warcraft, where you have like 50 buttons on some classes, and on here, you're not going to have that many buttons at all. You're going to have, 10 buttons total, and then, another set of 5, and then some mechanics to know for your class, maybe like a secondary form or like a secondary, button or whatever. It's pretty easy to figure out,
You get bonus pips under certain conditions, such as being a squad leader.
Sorry, I like saw something in myself when I was talking about that, and I just had to kind of expound on it a little bit.
You get a lot of bonus pips if you're out.
I used to be a piece of shit, except instead I was like, man, I used to be like really, really nice.
Remembered on the map. Unspoken rules. If you're at a base, don't use a majority of the base's supply repairing the walls unless there's a really good reason for it. It is typically frowned upon if you're trying to build cannons or something crucial to defense and you can't because Builder Bob over there was topping off the walls, which will now die because there is nothing to defend them with. Another unspoken rule is duels. Occasionally you may find 2 people 1v1ing in a field and others are just standing by watching. If they have an audience, it is almost certainly a duel and they don't want interference. If they don't have an audience, make a judgment call. I will say you get more points by killing the enemy and then apologizing than if you asked for permission. New players. Don't get discouraged when you get murdered. You don't lose any money, you just get sent back to the waypoint. Try to learn from it and take it in stride. If you get run over by 30 people, then just think, I should have been paying better attention to my surroundings, I could have run or waypointed when I saw them coming. If you lose a 1v1, think about how you could have played it differently. If you lose a tower versus a nearly equal force, maybe you should have built more arrow carts to hold them off, etc. Skirmish chests. You will occasionally get skirmish chests, which allow you to pick a reward. I have a bad habit of saving mine, but you can pick what you want here. I often end up picking badges of honor to build up our guild hall and guild siege equipment, but the testimonies of heroics are very useful as well. One great use of the testimonies of heroics is to spend them at the heroics notary. There is one in the Edge of the Mists, among others, and purchase hero points for your characters. With enough testimonies, you can buy every hero point in Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns to help unlock those elite specs.
Okay. Dude, World v World is kind of like the ultimate game mode as far as like progression goes. It sort of feels like cheating because you can do so much combat in World v World and get so many things that it feels like why would you even if all you're doing is here to unlock things. World v World's pretty good for that, dude.
If you dislike running hero point trains or just don't want to on any of your characters. The Outfitter sells some nice 20-slot bags for consumable supplies. More info on bags in the Inventory Management Guide. I'll have a link in the description of that. You can get Ascended Armor from random chests you get, or you can spend World v World currencies to buy Ascended Armor, and even upgrade it to Legendary Armor if you wish. I've already outlined how to do that in the Legendary Armor Guide, so I'll include a link to that in the description. For your
I'm like moving into deeper things in Guild Wars 2. I find it really interesting. It's like I'm starting to get to raids in general too. I just finished Heart of Thorns. I'm going to go back and finish out my Elite spec, my Reaper spec in Heart of Thorns. Like I'm now moving into World v World. Like I'm doing events and things. I've done multiple metas. It's really, I'm starting to hit the 100-hour mark for Guild Wars 2, and I feel like it's about time for me to make a Guild Wars 2 100 hours in video or something like that, because I have a lot of thoughts about sort of what I've gotten up to over my time playing this game, what it's done to me, the places that I've gone with it, the things that I've accomplished, what the game sort of gives you. And one thing that I think I picked up on very early, that a lot of people pick up on very early, that continues throughout the game, is that if you are somebody who wants to do content that is kind of challenging, you can get to it very quickly in Guild Wars 2, and people are not gatekeeping you out of it. In fact, a lot of times people are welcoming you in heavily. Queuing up for strikes, queuing up for fractals, doing all those kinds of things, trying to find people to help you do these things and teach you how to do them, raids, all that kind of stuff. I still haven't done the dungeons. I need to go through and do all the dungeons. I should hit up James at some point and see when he's free to do dungeon stuff. But it's definitely interesting the way that Guild Wars 2 starts off by giving you really exciting late game feeling content, being world bosses, and then it keeps going on this very exciting late game feeling content consistently all the way through it. Raids and strikes and all that stuff, big bosses, big events. I mean, when we were doing is it Dragon Stand, when we were doing that meta, I couldn't believe that was just in some overworld zone, that it's a pathway that takes you through all this difficult stuff to get through, and then all of a sudden you're in this giant arena with all these floating islands that have these updrafts that you have to hover over top of to keep yourself going up, and you can use ley lines to teleport around one, and there's, these giant mouths that you have to fight and do all these different things to sort of move the game forward as you're playing. And it's just, it's interesting that it's not, I mean, it's instance because it'll kick you out when it's done and everything, but you know what I mean? It's in the overworld. It's just part of the map. Like, to my knowledge, World of Warcraft doesn't do anything like that. There are no really giant, active things happening on the map that are to that level, at least. It's very interesting, man. There are some cool things I'm thinking about, especially during Dragonflight, some of those, dream mechanics that were going on, and how, there would be these bosses that spawned all over the place, and they were empowered, but none of them really, played off of this huge map-wide event that felt like you were doing something, which is odd because it was a map-wide event, but it wasn't like this. It's very complicated to sort of explain, but Guild Wars 2 just has such a repaying of your investment of time. I hate that phrase of it respects your time. All games kind of respect your time because you get enjoyment out of playing them, but the things that you can do. Okay, so here's the thing that I think people are really getting at whenever they say that a game respects your time, but they never completely say. The more time, without putting an exorbitant amount of time into Guild Wars 2, you can do stuff on your screen that other people who don't play the game will see and go, wow. That's what I think people mean when they say that this game really respects your time. That you can put in 100 hours, and there's just so much that you can do that other people will look at your screen and go, wow, that's Guild Wars 2? That's crazy. And I think that's really, really cool.
First time into World v World, you have a few options. You can run around with a group to teach you, run around with newbies and learn together, go in solo and just explore, or find a commander tag on the map, join their group, and just follow them around and learn the best you can. Learn the spots where they drop siege, what works and what does not work, and most importantly, find a role you consider fun. In one of my builds, I play a minstrel druid in World v World. It's not possible in PvP because that gear isn't available in the 5v5 game mode. I run around, lead a squad, heal people, stand on the front line because of how tough minstrel gear is, immobilize enemies for our kills, and drop the siege. I do the damage of a foam pool noodle, but it's fun for me and it gets things done. And that's it. There is much more to learn in World v World, but these are the basics I've learned over the last few months that I felt were the most helpful things to share with newcomers. If you have any tips to share with others on World v World that I didn't list, please put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video...
Well, good on Muckluck. Good job for making the video. If you guys enjoyed it, obviously leave him a like. Make sure you hit that like button. I like to say that because it sometimes will flash the like. That's always really fun to me. Good on Muckluck for making these videos, dude. It's so nice to be able to go back. I mean, this is 4 years in the future, and I can go back and learn things about this game. He's just such a useful resource to the community, and I'm so glad that he's around. Thanks for being you, dude. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys all being here. If you want to watch another video, one will probably pop up on the screen here, and I will see you guys on the next one. Be safe out there. Bye. Bye.